here and right here, there may be just a 1/16 of an inch or something in this area, which means it's probably just a tiny bit low still right through this whole area. So we'll let him jump back in there and go ahead and pull the balance of that low up. I didn't time this either. I'm going to guess we may have time we get done about 5, 8 minutes, 10 tops on the outside on a 3-inch dent, which is not bad. Now, with beginners or people starting out, this could take anywhere up to 45 minutes or an hour at least. Again, your proficiency will come with practice. We can't stress that enough. You really have to stay in there and keep practicing. All right, that's not looking too bad right now. You can see the straight edge looks real good. Now, really and truly, right here to right here, maybe just a hair low, but it's also kind of hard to see. The camera's picking it up. It's kind of hard to see from here. This is where we said you'd probably flip around and work it from a different direction, and I'm going to get a second opinion. Look like it's a little low still, fellas, maybe just a tiny bit. Now push up and let's hold it 1 second. Just kind of let off a little. Okay, push it just a little, not too much. See, that's showing you that that's really a small low because we're just pushing up a little to see if that straight edge will be actually defined anymore. But whenever he pushes, it's actually V-ing it, which means really and truly it's probably good. I'd also like to remind you too, you know, when we're talking about this little gray area that might be a little low, figure how small the tip of this pointer is that we're actually utilizing. So that looked good. I think we've got another good one. And that again was a 3-inch dent in probably 10 minutes. Good job. We'll go to the next step. And what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about a sharp dent. We're going to use this area right in here. And we've talked about the large dents, we've walked through the big ones. We're going to take a punch now, and he's going to make a small but sharp dent. Those are actually more difficult, really, than even a big soft dent. All right, we'll let him pound away at it, and we'll take a look before he starts. Okay. You can see right here, we've got a pretty sharp dent right here. Now, this area right through here, that's your center of your dent. You can see the white area, the dark area, and actually in this particular picture, you see a small little round area here. And then when you move your head up and down, whether you're looking in the top of the light or the bottom straight edge, etc., it'll change colors. It'll do a reverse. This will be black, that'll be white if you did it up in this area. Again, we're on the straight edge, first bulb, middle section colored, top. Here's the gray area we were talking about. Now also too, we believe that it's probably easiest to find yourself up in this gray area where we did a dent a minute ago, because that it's like giving it an example as looking directly at the sun where it's bright, or looking kind of away from the sun where it doesn't blind you. So really and truly, the camera's showing it on the straight edge because that's the best spot for training purposes on a video, but he may actually be looking in the gray area up here, and again, you'd put your tool up here in front and you would drag it in. One thing I'd like to also mention to you all, it's very important, is on large dents, now we can use this for a prime example, but on large dents a lot of times, you won't be able to drag your tool directly from the middle down, because what will happen is once you start dragging into this area, it'll be so distorted right about here, you will lose the tip of your tool. So what you do in that case is you can sneak around the side and come in from this way. Drag your tool from here right down here, and then go in. Because, and this isn't the prime example, but it'll make the point, if it's a large dent and you drag your tool and you start coming down, once you get to here, you can lose the tip of your tool because of the distortion of the dent. So then you have to guess to get to the center. You're guessing, say, an inch and a half from here to get to the center. Where if you sneak down the side where you can still see your tip and you get to right here, now you've only got to go 1/4 inch from here to get to the center. So on large dents, keep that in mind. Alrighty, now we'll go ahead and we'll get started. Now on sharp dents, especially with creases, you've got to go right to the crease. You have to get right into the middle of that crease, and you've got to start pulling it up. You can see how this just immediately is going away. I'm going to have to slow this fella down. He's too good for a training video. All right, now let's take a look. What do we got here? All right, we've got a high. You can see it right here just a little bit. Now that happens sometimes on sharp dents because you have to hit the center and push it directly up. That is a good possibility that can happen to you on occasion. Now it looks like it's a pretty good high. I'm not sure if when he uses his punch it's going to go down and it'll be fine, or if he's going to take it down, pull it back up, maybe hit it with a piece of 2000. We'll see. Okay, well, it looked like it came down pretty good. Now you can see it's gone back into a nice little dent, and what he'll do is he'll just come in and he'll get it right here. While we're speaking about it, let's talk a second about this punch too. We're going to show you a punch, and this punch right here, what he did when he used this punch is he took it, he hit it one time, you saw him pick it up and look. He hit it one time, he picked it up and looked, he hit it and he picked it up and looked. You want to make sure you don't go in there and you just don't start hitting, because the first time you hit it, it may have gone down to where you wanted it to, and it would be unnecessary. You're making your dent worse. So using a punch is somewhat like using the dent tools to get the metal up. Gently, but keep doing it. Now, you can see we've got a pretty sharp, fine little dent right there. He'll jump right in that area, and he'll start working it. And you can see that little bitty low and how there was like a sharp little crease, and you can see how it's finally starting to go away. Now what he did is, metal has memory. There was a crease there, so what he did, he went in. Now in order to get that really sharp little tiny area out, he had to make sure he got in there. But once he got in there, he had to make sure that he did push that actual little bitty crease right dead square center where it needed to be, and he pushed it up. He did, and he has a little bit of high. Now my guess is when he takes this back down, there won't be really a sharp, nasty crease there that like it was a moment ago. But you never know when you take them down. We'll look. See how he's hitting once, looking, he lifts up, and he looks. Now he's just a little quick at it, and you may need to pull your punch a little farther up. I would also recommend, too, that when you do this, you make sure you bring your punch straight down. If you have it at an angle, it's just going to scuff off. So just hold your punch towards the top and make sure you come directly down on it. Okay, now what we're going to do is, if you look, the actual low area starts right here. It goes around the top, comes right into the bottom, and you can see it's more of a shallow dent than it was a really sharp one. So he did get the center of that out. He took it down, and we do have a little bit of a shallow low. And then right here in the middle, we do have a little something. Now that may just be a little scuff mark. We're not sure. I think he's going to put a little polish in it, and we'll find out if that is, or if that's a flaw in the paint or whatever. When you sand, if you need to sand, and occasionally you will have to, we recommend you use either 2000 sanding paper and a little rubber sanding block, or a 3M sanding pad, or some of the technicians will carry a sanding block. And the theory of the sanding block is, and I'll get one and we'll show you, we'll get a sanding block that one of the fellas has, and we're going to show you something here for training purposes. Again, you can use sandpaper or you can use a sanding block. And I guess that's really just a preference of what you want to do. The sanding pad I'm accustomed to, and the reason that I used it is because I can sand just the areas that I need to. Okay, so if I wanted to sand only just to say if this was an Audi here, with the sanding pad you can do that. With a block, and I'm going to show you a picture of a block here. Now what the fellas do sometimes in hard dents is they'll put the block and they'll bring the block across the dent. And then what's going to happen is there'll be little scuff marks everywhere except where the dent's low. And then they'll go in, they know exactly where it's low. Now that's in bad cases where they need additional help to find out where the exact low is. But that is something that you can use, a technique. Also, too, I'd like to remind you that the straight edge will never lie to you. It's always going to tell you what's wrong with a dent. And as you can see, the straight edge there, we can still see just a little bit of a low. Okay, we'll go ahead and finish it up. You can see he's right in that area because you can see the tip of that tool coming up just as clear as can be. Now this repair, as it sits right now, and we'll look when he gets finished, but as it is right now, this repair is really 100% undetectable. Because I'm going to use this pointer again as a reference or a point here. If I point to one area, let's say up here, this really right here where I'm pointing is just a piece of orange peel. And you can see the tip of the pointer is almost, as big as this orange peel. So whatever we're looking at through this camera, because this is a very good high quality camera, this is really down there picking up anything, and you're seeing actually every little piece of orange peel and everything in the world. This repair looks pretty good to me. Your straight edge looks good. You don't see any outies. You might be a little something here, but I tell you, this is really looking at it through a microscope. This repair is really 100% undetectable. Looks good. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to show you a before shot here. This just came into the shop, and this is an unbelievable example of what we have to offer you regarding training. As you can see, this dent is on a brand new 96 Cadillac Contours, and it's a crease that starts here and runs all the way down almost to the bottom of the door. This really is not PDR work and should only be really attempted by a highly experienced professional. But we thought since it rolled in, it would be a great example for you all to see beforehand. We're going to work on it a little bit while we're doing other items, and then we'll show you what we've come up with afterwards. This sharp crease that we just showed you, will show you how the technician's actually working on it. Now we had to move the light, so you may not actually see the dent in there as well, but you can see actually how he's doing it. And then, as we've shown you, you can work with a flat bar through a window, or you can work with a rod, either one. He's using the rod. And also you can see his head is horizontal with the door. And when we discuss working on doors and things, that way, for example, when you're looking on a hood, you look straight down on it, and you're horizontal with it. And so now when he's on the door, this is why his head's tilted, is so that he can actually read that dent better. And you can see that he's working the crease. You'll see the metal actually pushing outward just a little, and he's working right down the crease. And he'll go up and down that crease, and he'll try to get it repaired. And we'll check back in shortly. Okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to take our hand tool, we're going to come up through this hole right here, and we're going to work the dent. Now what we're going to do is, you can see our tool in here, we're going to use the finger for some leverage to keep us in control, and we're going to scratch, and we're going to go up and down through the dent to find the tip of the tool where we're at, looking at it from the top panel. Once we get it right about there, now we're going to start tweaking it with a little bit of leverage this way. And we're going to refine ourselves. We're going to do it like that. Pull back in. And I'm using the finger again for control purposes, for holding the tool exactly where I want it. Now we're working. Push a little. We'll move, push, move, push. Scratch around, find myself again. Little leverage. There. Now let me show you what we're doing. See, this tool is the type that we're putting in and we're tweaking, so to speak. Go back in like this. Scratch around, find ourselves, and use that type right there. Now I'm going to get a different hand tool and I'll show you how we use that. Okay, what we're going to do now, we're going to take our S-hooks, we're going to hang them in a factory opening. As you can see, there's holes all through the bracing structure here, so there's lots of factory places to hang your hooks. And what we're also going to do is we're going to tape the tool just a little bit. This is what we call a soft tool, and I'm going to just use a piece of duct tape. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap the tip of the tool with just a little bit of tape. I'm going to go around it nice like that, bend it down. The purpose for that is what we call a soft tool, and it is also to eliminate scratching the top of the panel. Now, this has a hood insulator in it, so it's not near as important, but if you're doing a deck lid or a car that does not have the insulator, this is a way to keep from scratching the paint when you're digging around finding the tip of your rod. Now, what we're going to do, I'm going to use my thumb again, as you can see, for control. I'm going to scratch right around through here to find exactly where I need to be. And I'm going to push up. Push up. You can see the bottom of the rod on your screen kind of bending. I'm gradually moving the rod, finding where I need to work. Little pressure, let off, little pressure, let off. I'm using my thumb again for control purposes. Right through here, little pressure, I move, little pressure, I move, little pressure, move, little pressure. Find myself. Go through it real quick now, get this dent repaired. Right there. That looks good. And as you can see, we didn't damage the area or skin up the paint. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to take this tool here, which we've showed you earlier. I'm going to reach all the way across the hood, as you can see. I'm going to stick it up under the brace. We're going to scratch around, find it. Now, I'm going to start my tweaking motion, which is moving the metal up. And we're doing this from under a brace, which is, again, is halfway across the hood. This is how you utilize these long tools. And again, we're just giving you an idea, and we're showing you how a lot of these tools work. In the actual art of dent repair, any tool that you can make work is what you're going to use. You can see I'm using my thumb on the brace as well to control it. I've got my finger here for good control, finding where I am. Taking a lot of pressure on this. Okay. Pull that out. That was with this tool. Just take a moment here also to talk about the hood. What you do is you have a couple of hood props, which are expandable, and what we do is we wedge your hood prop in here like this, and then we take these bungee cords to a factory opening and stretch them tight down to here, and as you can see, there's one on that side and that's what holds your hood securely in place so that you can work on your dents without your hood moving. It really needs to be good, tight, and secure. And that's how we do it. We do the same thing in the deck lids, is just put your hood props, bungee it down. And that's how it's done. Okay, this is that Cadillac that we looked at a few moments ago. One of the technicians here in the shop fixed it. That is absolutely incredible, and I'll be honest with you, I'm even amazed myself. If you'll look at this, you see where the door handle is on the car. If you go a little to the right, there's actually a door in the reflection of this car that you can see, and that's the doorknob, that one silver area if you're looking at that. But look, there is absolutely no distortion in that door whatsoever. That was an incredible repair. Okay, we're going to get a little more in depth about this door. I want to go over a couple things with you. We've taught you how to access down through the windows. I want to show you a couple other things. Right here, and you really won't be able to see it on camera, which is fine, but there's always weld marks on a door because of the bracing system that's in here. So right here, I'm looking here, I find a brace mark, and I'm looking right here and I find a brace mark. That's telling me the bracing structure is running right down through here. So if I have to drill a hole in the door to access a dent or get behind a brace, you want to make sure that you drill in between the outer skin and the weld marks so that when you get your access into there that you are going into the brace and that you're not on the outside of the brace. So if we were to drill a hole here, we would drill it right about here, and we would centralize. If we had a couple of dents here and down here, we would drill our hole in the center. Also a good idea is to always look down the window and to see what the bracing structure looks like and the glue and the things that you have to deal with. So in this instance, we would drill it there. Now let's talk about this for a moment. You've always got a brace up here, and you usually always have a brace through the center of the door, as we've mentioned a little while ago. So if we have a brace right through here, usually what you're going to have is some round glue spots like these running through your brace. That's the glue that's holding the brace to the door skin. So if we were to do a repair, we would take this tool and we would come in like this or like this, and then we could drop right down here behind the brace and we would tweak out for leverage. Now if this is behind a glue spot, as an example, we might use a different tool with a little different blade on it, come in this way, drop in behind it, and then pull it in gently to kind of cut just only the portion of the glue that we need, get behind the glue, and then start tweaking out in this fashion here. If we were going to do a dent that was in an open area, and for whatever reason we couldn't come through here, then you just simply come in with your rod right here, and you would start working it in this fashion, right here. The other areas you can always look at, there's always a drain plug, usually in the bottom of every door. You can try that for an access point, and a lot of vehicles will already have factory openings. For instance, say an Astro van. They have a little round plug right here. It's a factory. Just pop the plug out, get your access, and go in. Now, while we're also right here, the back door, which is right here, will always have a wiring harness. So if we were working in the back door, what we would do is pull the wiring harness, and we would come back in through this way so that we wouldn't have to drill any holes. We always try to access the dent anywhere we can without having to actually drill holes. So we'd pull that, we'd put a rod, we'd come in and we'd do the same thing on this side. And again, when we talked earlier about the bracing structure up here, we showed you a hook tool that we would come down with like this, and if it was a round hook tool, we'd hook back up underneath the brace and fix the repair that way. That's a little information on the doors. So we're looking at a dent on the actual front fender of an automobile, and we're going to show you how to repair this, gaining access with a couple of different directions. One of which is you can pull the headlight or turn signals type areas and come in. It's right over the wheel well. Another option would be to pull down the shroud around the wheel well and come up, or as you can see, he'll stick the rod right in through the front fender. We don't have to drill any holes whatsoever. He'll go right in through there, and he'll start working the repair from there. You can see the metal moving outward. Appears to me he's working on the bottom dent. You can see that flexing right there at the bottom where he's working on that repair. He's right in the center of the dent. You can also see when he does that sometimes almost a straight line comes up like a crease. Metal does funny things. So when you push on it like that, obviously with the little tip of that tool he's using, it's not a crease tool that's a 1/2 inch wide. The metal is just doing that. But, well, it looks like the crease is gone and the dent. Looks like a great job. What we'll do is we'll get ready to go ahead and work the top one. Okay, you can see him pulling through the dent on the top one. He was finding his tool. He's now starting to work it. That top one was a little bit of a nasty, got a little nasty crease in it also. You can see him right on it. Right there, he was right below it. There he goes. He's right in the crease. He's starting to work it. This is kind of like one of those sharp dents we talked about earlier. We're working it, of course, on the straight edge closest to you, and this is on a door. Sometimes you'll work them again in the top of the light or the bottom of the light. It can just vary depending on the dent and the curvature of the car. A lot of times we'll also have a bearing on it. It's getting to be pretty well gone, but you can see like a little groove left there, or you know, could be considered even like a flaw in the paint, but that's actually a little low, and that's what he's trying to achieve right now. You can see the tip of that tool right there in it. And a lot of times when you have a little crease like that, if you hit it in the center, what it'll do is actually break it up and make it look like orange peel instead of a little crease. So it's looking real good. He's got a shallow low there that he's trying to finish up. You can see that metal come up and go down without making an outie. That again is that pressure we've been talking about. He looks like he's just kind of still trying to get a little bit of that crease, but he's also just covering kind of the general area. You can see how that metal just pinches outward and then goes back. Pressure and location, as we've discussed with you, is the critical point. Doesn't look too bad. We might, and of course too, it depends on the car. As you can see, the light on your screen starts at about 5 o'clock. It curves back up to almost 1 o'clock. That's the curvature of the car since we're on a wheel well. That straight edge, as you can see at the very bottom of the screen, is a 1/4 inch, but at the top it's a 1/2. Well, that's due to the curvature of the car. See, right here we've got a dent, which is on the front fender, and as we told you a moment ago, you can actually pull the headlight right here. You can slide right in this way, and you can access that and do that dent very easy. That's how you'd access front fenders. All right, we've opened up a deck lid here, and we're looking to see what our options are. We can see the area that's open on the deck lid, but right next to it is a double braced area. This whole area is double braced. So we'll show you a couple access points of how to get into there. One area of which is right through here.